Welcome everyone to ATS Labs 2022 info session. Just to introduce myself, my name is Varun Chandak. I am the marketing and growth manager here at Access to Success and ATS Labs. Before we begin our presentation, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional lands we are joining from via this virtual platform. I'm joining this event from Toronto, which is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Let's continue to recognize and deeply appreciate the historic connection of Indigenous peoples to this place as we move forward in the spirit of reconciliation. A couple quick housekeeping items. Live captions are available if you click the closed caption button at the bottom of your Zoom screens. We also encourage everyone to ask questions throughout the session, and you can do so by sending them in the chat. And of course, please let us know if we can make this session any more accessible for you in any way. And now, I'd like to introduce our founder and president of Access to Success, nature lover, dog dad, great husband, at times great boss, but let's not blow up his head too much. So I'd like to introduce my friend, Varun Chandak.
Thanks, Robin, and hi, everybody. Welcome to the ATS Labs info session. I promise you, Robin's not getting paid extra to give me such a nice introduction, but that's besides the point. So let's go right into the reason that you're all here today. What is ATS Labs and why should you care? ATS Labs is Canada's first and only accelerator dedicated to supporting accessibility startups. What that means is that this program is designed specifically to help accessibility, mental health, and agent tech startups scale. That last word is the most important part. That's what we do here. We don't work necessarily with ideas. We don't work on a lot of things that you might find elsewhere. What we work on is to provide specific resources designed to help you scale your accessibility, mental health, or agent tech startup. I keep using those words. What do they actually mean? Who's actually eligible for this program? The first thing, you must be a for-profit organization. In rare cases, we may make exceptions for not-for-profits, particularly where if you're a not-for-profit and you're working on an initiative that is a product or a service with a potential revenue stream. So if you're a not-for-profit and you're interested, reach out to us. But as such, the program is designed for for-profits. You must have a minimum valuable product. That's what I was referring to earlier. We don't necessarily work with people at the ideation stage of the journey. We work with people who have an MVP already in place, who have already done some level of testing, some level of market research, some level of co-design work, which brings me to the last part, co-creation. You must have, or you must demonstrate in your application that you have worked with people with disabilities to co-create your product or your idea or your resources. It's pretty simple. The program is open to startups and organizations worldwide. You don't need to be in Canada to participate in the program, but all sessions will take place based on EST working hours. And lastly, when in doubt, just ask us. If you are not sure whether you are eligible for the program, but you're interested in it, just reach out to us. We're always happy to talk. What do you get out of this program once you apply and actually get accepted? You get access to 40+ unique sessions that are specifically designed for startups in this space. I will talk more about that. Those sessions are hosted by over 40 speakers from all over the world, all of whom are familiar with the space of accessibility entrepreneurship and accessibility innovation. And lastly, but not the least, you get access to our global network of accessibility innovators, investors, and other accelerators around the world. I'll talk more about all three of these things, but what I want to emphasize is that all of this is designed specifically with this particular space in mind. What that means is that we don't really do a lot of programming that you might find in general tech accelerators. For example, over the course of 13 weeks, participants of the program will begin with getting access to programming on inclusive design, followed by, in consecutive weeks, product market fit, customer acquisition, inclusive marketing and community building, followed by a break for the Labor Day weekend. After that, we will have sessions on partnerships, scaling, leadership, fundraising, and then a break for the Thanksgiving weekend. We'll close out the program with a weekend dedicated to pitch practice, and then ultimately the demo day that is open to anyone who wants to attend. Now, you might notice that there are some stuff here that you feel you might find elsewhere, like product market fit or customer acquisition. When I say customer acquisition, what I mean is customer acquisition in the disability space. You'll see from the speakers that the vast majority of the speakers are leaders of later stage accessibility startups or otherwise leaders in the accessibility innovation space. These are the people we bring in to talk about these topics like customer acquisition. How do you actually acquire customers in the disability, in the mental health, and the age and tech space? We will have sessions on, for example, revenue models and pricing. And we will have a workshop on the basics, on the foundations of revenue models, but we will also have a session where people with unique revenue models, where they want to keep their product free for people with disabilities and yet bring in revenues elsewhere. We will bring them in to talk about how they do that and what that revenue model looks like. I also talked about that access to the global network that is available through the Inclusive Innovation Network, which is a global network of disability tech accelerators, including us in Canada, but also in Australia, New Zealand, India, Kenya, and Hong Kong. These are all accelerators that have come together specifically to build this as a coalition, as a global network of innovators like yourself, accelerators like ourselves, and investors. In fact, just yesterday, I was talking to this group about potentially organizing an event on how to expand to international markets. In addition to the Inclusive Innovation Network, we are also supported by a large number of partners. Most importantly, our sponsors. CIBC is a proud sponsor alongside Dentons and Techstars. In fact, earlier this year, we were accepted into the Techstars Accelerate Equity Program, which is designed for accelerators like us. And through that, additional resources are available directly from Techstars to participants in our program. Besides Inclusive Innovation Network, we also have partnerships with AgeWell in the age and tech space and the Open Collaboration for Cognitive Accessibility in the neurotech innovation space. And we're supported by well over a dozen organizations all over the world in the disability and disability innovation space. There's a list here on the screen right now, but the actual number of organizations that we collaborate with all the time is far too long for me to include here. To give you a quick overview of what kind of startups go through our program and what they get access to, last year in the 2021 cohort, our participants were 10 startups, which went through 3 months of programming and had access to 45 sessions hosted by 50 speakers from 7 countries. One of those startups closed, but among the rest were across pre-seed and seed stage. Their cumulative revenues to date are over $1 million. They have in total, in aggregate, benefited over 6,800 people with disabilities, have raised $1.3 million in funding, including grants, and have 36 employees. Last year's cohort was concentrated in Canada, but as I said, this year, the program is open to anyone who wants to apply anywhere in the world. There's a long list of those 10 startups that participated, ranging from B2B startups, B2C startups, AI-based startups, mechanical hardware startups, virtual reality startups. So I won't bother going into every one of these, but I do want to have you meet two of the best startups that came through our program last year. The first one of them is Lianna Genovese from Imaginable Solutions. And to introduce her, I would like to bring back my colleague, Robin. Robin, over to you.
Thank you, Varun. So, introducing our first innovator, Lianna Genovese is the inventor and patent holder of Guided Hands, an award-winning device that empowers people with limited hand mobility to live richer lives. She is the CEO of Imaginable Solutions, an undergraduate student in an innovative new engineering program at McMaster University, the Canadian winner of the prestigious James Dyson Award for Design, and an all-around amazing human being. Lianna, welcome.
I think that's got to be the best introduction I've ever had. Your voice is so awesome for that.
I feel like a fight announcer.
In this corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
Hi,
Lianna,
everyone.
welcome to the info session. We're so excited to have you here. Why don't we start off with you telling us a bit about yourself and your startup?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually recently graduated a month ago from biomedical and mechanical engineering at McMaster University. I created the first prototype of our product Guided Hands in my first year studying engineering for a woman living with cerebral palsy. So it was actually a school project. So our product Guided Hands, it's an assistive device that allows anyone living with limited hand mobility to write, paint, draw, and access technology through touchscreen devices. So we help people living with cerebral palsy, ALS, Huntington's disease, arthritis, spinal cord injury, strokes, really anyone experiencing limited mobility in their hand and arm. And yeah, the program ATS Labs was so helpful in really just understanding our market. And I've been a part of so many other incubators, but they don't have any information or insight in the accessibility space, let alone they don't even know who occupational therapists are. So, you know, having this really great focused help and resources and mentorship in our space is a game changer. Yeah, and just everyone here is so passionate, but I can probably talk way more about ATS Labs and how awesome it is. So I'll stop there.
That's awesome. Can we ask you though, like, why did you apply for ATS Labs?
Well, I applied because I was in business incubators that, again, didn't know what an occupational therapist was, didn't know how to navigate our area or give us advice in our area or in our market. And I don't even know how Varun and I connected, but we did. And he said to me, you know, we're creating this program and, you know, we'd love to have you in it, but, you know, we're not creating this for a few months. So Varun kind of gave me some, you know, we kept in touch. He gave me a lot of great advice. And then the program launched and I said, okay, can I apply? And he's like, yes. So yeah, it was just really just finding expertise in our industry was what really made us want to apply, because you can't get that anywhere else. This is what the first one in Canada. There's not even one in the US. Like where else are you going to get this information? You're going to do it by Google searching and it's going to take you years and you're probably going to get the wrong information. So if you go to ATS Labs and, you know, talk to people like Varun, like you're going to be saving yourself so much time because he's already did the hard work of gathering all of these expert people for you. So
That's amazing. Sorry, just quickly, I would like to bring in our other innovator into this because she just stepped back in. So I just want to do another quick intro for our next innovator, which is Jolene MacDonald, who is the founder and CEO of Accessibrand, Accessibrand is based on Jolene's 20 plus years of knowledge in the graphic design and marketing industry, as well as her 17 years as a successful entrepreneur and award-winning designer, creative director, and also illustrator. Top that all off with her own personal disability experience, and out comes an innovative model for design, marketing, and communications agency. Jolene is an advocate, wife, and mother of 3. Welcome to the info session, Jolene. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Sorry, I had to step out and step back in quickly.
No worries. So, just to catch back up, why don't you start with a quick intro, maybe about yourself and your startup, and then we could go back into the panel discussion.
Sure. So basically, as you stated, my name is Jolene. I was a graphic designer. I have been for over 20 years. And I owned another agency, like a strictly graphic design focused agency for about 15 years. Sorry about the dogs. And when my youngest daughter was born in 2011, she was born with a rare form of dwarfism. And being a designer and working with my clients, it was just like the light bulb went off and I went, oh my gosh, we're doing everything so wrong. People with disabilities are not equitably accessing the information and the work that we're doing. And then honestly, I ended up being diagnosed with a disability myself. And it was just like, I needed the flexible work. So the more people I spoke to, it was like, how do I create an agency that puts accessibility as a core focus and provides flexible work for me? And then realized how many other people also needed the same thing. And that's really how it all came together. And yeah, that's basically how Accessibrand was born.
That's amazing. We're so glad to have you both here to share your experiences. So why don't we start with like both of you? Can you guys share some examples of how ATS Labs made a difference in the growth of your startup?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Lianna, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. I'm choosing which one.
Oh, for sure. Well, I guess firstly, I was in another accelerator, but I was looking for more options for growth. And I just wanted to add that Communitech actually sent me to Varun. And that was really, really like a great connection for me. But by being in the labs, I made so many connections because I felt very alone, being obviously a solopreneur, but feeling like there was nobody else that understood what I was doing and understood the importance of it. So just being in the group and making the connections with the other people in the cohort, but Varun's connections and being part of the global, accessibility network and things like that. It's just been so great, and having the opportunity to connect with others and, learn from other people. I think that was one of the biggest parts for me.
Yeah,
Awesome. And Lianna?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jolene. I think one of the most important things for me was just being surrounded by like-minded people in this space. And for me as well, I was also a solo founder. So, it was tricky to talk to other people and understand, we're all going through the same challenges, and to kind of have that support system. And then the other thing is just every single question I had, Varun was able to answer it, or he knew someone who could answer it. So directing me to connections, to people who have really great insight into kind of the areas where my questions were. And, he constantly introduces me to really, really valuable people. And that's just able to, or it enables us to just grow further, because we're getting answers really fast from experts instead of just kind of sitting there thinking about, okay, shoot, what should we do? So it was just really great. Just the resources and the community was definitely the two for me.
Oh my God, is my face red?
And yeah, from Varun's comment in the chat, I can confirm that we're not getting paid for this.
I will say that the cohort themselves, they have been so great at just connecting with each other without ATS Labs being present in the room. And I kept hearing stories after the fact about how they spoke with somebody else in the cohort and they came up with this collaboration, which I think is the best case outcome here. So just wanted to point that out, that was something that we really got, that really excited us, that the founders are learning from each other and creating opportunities for each other.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next question. We'd love to give the viewers here a little insight of, the programs themselves. So I want to ask both of you, what components of last year's program did you find most valuable? Shall we start with Jolene again?
Sure. I think I'm trying to remember all the pieces. It's such a whirlwind now. Everything's changed so quickly. I think some of the connections, I think, even being that I was in an accelerator before, having the connections that were related specifically to disability inclusion, things like that, and having, the mentors come in. It's not just that they come in and speak, you're able to connect with them after, and, the valuable time that they offered with, some coaching and some advice. That for me in itself, I don't think there's one session in particular that I can recall, that it was just all of the pieces, and the fact that you could connect with those mentors and the speakers afterwards. There's nowhere else I think I would have ever had that opportunity. I still get supported by my old coach in the other program. Obviously, Varun has been, and yes, no, I'm not getting paid Varun, but I'm going to just say how amazing Varun's been through all of this, and still offers his time to me now. So between Varun and the speakers and all those connections, I think that's really what's so valuable.
Yeah, I echo exactly what Jolene had mentioned. One session doesn't stand out to me too much, but, I guess topic wise, but one that I really liked, one of the speakers, he was talking about a business topic. He lived with a disability, and hearing it from his perspective was just really insightful. And I think that even with the pandemic, a lot of those conversations we weren't able to have, because, these people are in hospitals and rehab clinics, and, all of them were kind of shut down to the public. So having the ability to hear it from a real, person that we're, our end user that we're trying to help, hear it from them personally, was really insightful. So to have that opportunity to hear it from their point of view was really eye-opening for us as well.
Thank you so much for that. Jolene sort of answered my next question, so maybe we'll start with Lianna this time. But I'm sure you guys have gone through a lot of other accelerators already. So if so, what was your experience at ATS Labs that was very different in any way?
The same thing, just having the ability to really understand our industry with ATS Labs. I've been a part of McMaster's Business Incubator, Communitac. Definitely a reason why Communitac referred Jolene to Varun is just because, they don't have experts in that field. And it's, it's, I guess, kind of niche. And Varun and his team do such an amazing job of pulling all of those resources for people in this industry, because it's so hard. Like for me, I'm just trying to find research on people who live with limited hand mobility, and that is just so hard to find. And that's just one example. Like it's so hard to find information in this space. So to have an organization that is dedicated to helping you understand your own industry in the world of accessibility is just so helpful.
Before we go to Jolene, I'm almost pretty much burning up a little bit. I didn't realize this would be, I promise I didn't realize this would become a little bit self-promotional. So I'm just going to go right ahead and ask a follow-up to Lianna and then to Jolene, that for the next cohort, the people sitting here, what do you want to see more for them this year? What are your instructions for us to do better? And that might give some ideas to people who are attending here as well, to give us their wish list.
So you're asking me how?
Yeah.
The only thing, which is very nitpicky, has nothing to do with the people or the content. It's just, I think a lot of sessions were on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. And trust me, like I did not party or drink or anything in university. I was too busy running my startup. But the weekends were so I would work on my company during the school, like the school day, and then I would catch up on all my classes that I skipped on the Saturdays and Sundays. So it was like I just wish that the sessions were during the week so that I had like a mental break on the Saturdays and Sundays. And sometimes I know a lot of founders, they like to take the weekends off to have that mental break with their family too. But you know, they also recorded a lot of the sessions too, so I was able to, you know, watch it during the week too. But yeah, I guess I answered that, like they recorded it, so it was okay. But I always felt guilty like not being at the actual session, because then I wouldn't, you know, be able to participate in a lot of the live Q&A. But yeah.
That's very good. Thank you. And I see Francois's comment as well. So that's definitely feedback we can take into account. Jolene, what do you think?
Yeah, just to echo that, it was difficult. Obviously, I have 3 kids. They're all scattered in ages, but you know, between sports and parenting and things like that, I'm lucky that my partner is super involved and we're together. But if I had been a single mom again, as I was many, many moons ago, it would have been more difficult. I would love to have more interaction with the cohort. I think the benefit of ATS for me was the fact that physically I didn't have to be there. Between having the disability myself and with affects mobility and cognitive, and sometimes I'm tired and I never know, that in itself was like a huge bonus for me, because when I started looking at other ones, the expectation, again, it was during COVID, but that you have to be there in person, and then it's far away, like that opportunity, the fact that you can be wherever you need to be and participate. But I would love to somehow have interacted more with the people in the cohort. I know we had a couple, not saying necessarily in person, but maybe some sort of team brainstorming or something like that, like co-creation within the cohort. I think that would have been really cool. I know many of us have stayed connected after, but that's one thing I can think of, and that could probably be more beneficial.
That is very good. That's very good feedback. See, this is how the program will hopefully keep getting better. So, and hopefully this is giving people ideas about what they want to see out of the program. Robin, I'm flipping it back to you to continue the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Varun. And also, anybody in the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And you know, you have everyone here that's more than happy to answer them. But back to our amazing guests. Man, again, me and Varun did not expect you guys to just praise us so much. So we want to flip it back to you guys, and just ask a little bit of, you know, just like after last year. Where's your startup at? How are you guys doing? Tell us a bit about your growth. Like, where are you now in your growth compared to where you were last year? How about we start with Lianna?
Yeah, so I actually have a really great anecdote for this. So I pitched at the ATS Labs demo day where I actually won first place. And one of the audience members was an investor, and they are actually my first investor. And now we're raising money, something that I never thought I would do, especially like a week after graduating. I'm 22 and I'm raising money. Oh my God. And I'm learning all about it. And I know I have Varun and as support to understanding this whole investment world. And yeah, it was and I also think they're partnered with ATS Labs too, the people who invested in us. So it's just awesome to see the power of the network. And yeah, that just directly changed the game for us, and that really opened up a lot of doors for future growth for our company.
And Jolene, how have things been?
For sure. So I don't remember exactly where I was at revenue wise. We have just added number 5 to payroll. So I think we were at 2 or 3, maybe. Varun, do you remember? Maybe it was 2. We switched to incorporation, which we also we had a lawyer before, but we had legal advice through ATS, which was great, which really helped decide where we want to go. We did have opportunities to talk to investors. We have chosen not to go that route, but we learned more about grant fundings and things like that. So we received a grant this year to do a few initiatives, but revenue wise, and since I think a year and a half since we relaunched, I think we're about 400% increase. So it's really great. We're still on our way. So it's certainly done a lot for, figuring out where we're going to go and how we're going to do that. So I'd say that's where our growth is, but we're not plateauing anytime soon either, which is great.
Awesome. Guys, I know we're going fairly quickly, which is great. But we're here for the audience, right? So now that you experience ATS Labs and gotten to where you are now, any advice for startups interested in applying for the program?
I have a question back at you. Is there a cost to go in the program?
No, this is the program is cost-free.
So why not apply? That's crazy. It's free. It's free and you're getting help. That's like the best thing ever. Oh my gosh, just apply. The only thing that I guess there is a bit of a give, the time to write the application, but I'm sure it's not too long at all. But oh my gosh, just apply. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't get in. That's the worst thing. I'm sure you will. But no, it's such an amazing opportunity, and you should definitely apply. It could be game changer for you. And to, just know someone in the network, all you have to do is just know one person. Though you just need to know the right one person and everything can change. So that might be this opportunity, since they're putting you in this space, this specific industry that we're all trying to find answers to. So I would definitely apply. Just, make yourself a cup of coffee, write the application, put a movie on, just get it done. Like it will be worth it. I promise.
Lianna, I wish I had you earlier for our marketing campaign, because this is absolutely perfect. Over to you, Jolene. Any advice for startups?
I think when you're an entrepreneur or intrapreneur, as I like to say, sometimes as many of us can be introverted in our thoughts, or, you fear imposter syndrome that, maybe you're not good enough, or don't worry about those things. I think don't have the fear of, not getting in. Like you were saying, there's no cost. It's your time and effort that you put into it. There's nothing negative that can come about this experience, in my opinion. I was very concerned about a lot of things in the beginning because I'm service-based. I'm not tech-based. I thought, oh, I'm not going to fit in. This isn't, maybe I'm not going to learn it. I learned so much valuable information. It's really, there's no reason not to apply, in my opinion, because there is nothing like it. Again, I see Varun, I'm going to get you an elastic band soon, but I think, like realistically, there's nothing you can lose from it. It doesn't take very long to apply, and it's a great opportunity for your business. However, just don't have huge expectations and don't have low expectations. Just kind of go with it and see what you learn. Learning is just so vital to being an entrepreneur and having a business. You can't ever stop.
Amazing. And yes, Varun, he's an okay guy. There are questions in the chat, so I want to direct it back to Varun. A lot of people are interested in the application process and maybe what's next. Could you go a little bit into that?
Absolutely. So the process is very straightforward. The link to apply is on the website. I've also dropped it in the chat. If you are, for whatever reason, not comfortable providing those answers in text, you can drop as a note. If you would prefer, for example, audio responses, that's something that we can manage. After you apply, we may call you for interviews. Otherwise, we might just give you straight up acceptance, and that's pretty much it. It's not a very complicated process. We try very hard to minimize the amount of work that founders have to do both for and during the program. So that application form is really it. If you have any questions about any of the information that we are asking about in the application form, or just if you want us to elaborate more, you can either ask now or you can email us later. And to reiterate, the program is free. We don't charge anything in cash, no equity, there's nothing. There was another question about if this is for new startups or for scale up of an established product. So thanks, Heidi, for the question. I have to say it depends on what exactly you're looking for. If you're looking for exclusively and precisely expansion to new markets, there are probably resources or ways that we can help you without you having to spend 3 months in the program. That being said, as I think Lianna and Jolene sort of emphasized, there's nothing like what we're doing really in the market, and pretty much any product, if it's intended for people with disabilities, chances are there's something new that you will learn out of this. What we don't do, again, I want to emphasize what we don't do, for instance, is cash awards. So if you're looking for funding, like from us out of this program, we may have a small amount of it. Lianna was one of the winners of our cash prizes at the demo day, but that's not what I would say you should apply for. That's not the big thing that you will get out of the program. I don't know if this answers a question, Heidi, but I'd be happy to have a separate call or a conversation to understand more about your product, what you're looking for, and I'll let you know if we can just help you outside of the program or if you could really benefit from this program.
Awesome. And there's another question from Emma. Are multiple team members able to join and participate in the program?
Absolutely, 100%. Most people attended with multiple team members. Generally, I would say up to 4 team members per organization is optimal. Any more than that, and it tends to get crowded from one team. But if you have a strong reason why you want more people from your team to be included, you can just, again, let us know. We're all about inclusive design, so we would be nothing if not flexible.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add before we get into the contacts?
Sorry, pardon me?
The how to get in touch with us.
Right. There's another question in the chat from Francois. Do your clinical partners get involved in concretely arranging clinical testing and trialing at their locations? Short answer, no. And the reason is that since the startups in the program are across the range of accessibility tech, what we do is bring in a whole variety of people who would have something to add for anyone who's working with people with disabilities. And for things like what we're asking for, we will send you off to one of our network members. For instance, we do a lot of work with Holland Blueview. In fact, I can tell you one of the startups in our last year's program, I think about a month ago, received a contract from Holland Blueview. And the director of commercialization, which is the person who heads up commercialization of new innovations at Holland Blueview, is a frequent speaker at our program and at our other initiatives. So we will put you in touch with people like that. One of the other things that we ask for in the application process is that we ask you, what do you need from the program? We have a variety of things that we offer by default. And beyond that, we always try to ask, what do people want from the program? So over the course of the program, there's sufficient buffer built into the program so that if there's a number of people asking for a specific topic, we'll add in a session on that.
Sorry, I actually think there was actually one question we might have skipped over. Like, there's the application process currently, but what can they expect for the next process of the application?
Yeah, the next step would be you may get invited for an interview, and if not, we will just let you know about the decision, whether you're accepted or not. It's very straightforward. The program will begin on July 30th. Unfortunately, a Saturday morning. So I'll see what I can do about that. I can't make any promises. For context, at the moment, as much as we've built in the organization and at ATS Labs, I myself am still doing this alongside a full-time job. So we have certain limitations on what we can do, when we can do those things, which is why the content, a lot of it is on weekend mornings. So since the program will begin on July 30th, you can expect a decision sometime between July 15th to July 25th.
But with that said, the sessions are recorded. Is that correct?
That's true.
Mhm.
Sessions are recorded and provided exclusively for use by the participants alone, because a lot of the speakers, they come in and share inside stories, essentially, about how this industry works. And they will not share it if we publish that for public consumption. So we will share recordings, but those recordings have to be kept confidential by the attendees.
Mhm. Awesome. Any other questions from the audience? Please feel free to throw them in the chat. There's one more?
Yeah, the Samir asks if you could do a doodle to see what works for the new cohort in terms of times. And yes, absolutely. As I said, we are all about inclusive design and co-creation. So while we will still have certain sessions on weekends, there's just no way around it. If the cohort feels that they would benefit from having more sessions on the weekday, we'll move as much as we can to weekdays.
Awesome. Let's see. How long are the sessions usually?
The vast majority of the sessions are 1 hour long. There may be a few specific sessions that are longer than that. So as it stands right now, let's say that the program continues for now on weekend mornings. So we will have usually 2 sessions, 9 a.m. EST to 10 a.m. EST, and then 10 to 11 a.m. EST on Saturday and Sunday mornings. In rare cases, we may have a single session that is 2 hours long, or we may have more than 2 sessions on a day.
Great. Any other questions coming in? I guess.
Any questions for Lianna or Jolene?
I guess that might be it.
That might be it. So
yeah.
And reach out to us. I did drop some of our information in the chat, but I'm also sharing it on the screen. You can reach out to me directly. My email is varun@accesstosuccess.ca. You can follow us on Twitter @accesstosuccess and @ATS_labs. You can follow us on LinkedIn @Access to Success Organization, or for some reason, my LinkedIn is there as well. So if you like, you can reach out to me and reach out. Great. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Jolene, Lianna, thank you so much for your time and for everything that you said. I think I owe you a drink or a coffee next time we meet in person, but enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.